Then going to the barbershop, sitting around.
That's why it's crazy we chose the name Klippah Talk.
Well, listen, I was saying, I ain't that. It's a nice little remark.
Inside of him exists that man.
You got to get out of that comfort zone.
I think that's it. All right.
Welcome to that.
So we got, I'm good. Welcome to a new edition of Klippah Talk. And today we're featuring two guests, Mr. Chris Duhan and Mr. Stephen Idoka. I got it right that time. So today what we want to talk about is a lot of athletes have problems when they leave their region or they leave their country and they're coming to a new environment. So today I want to kind of focus on a little background from everybody and at the same time tell your story on how did you make the adjustment, you leaving from New Orleans and you leaving from Nigeria. So first I'd like to start off with Mr. Duhan, asking him a little bit background information about yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in New Orleans, and played every sport growing up. Obviously down south is more of a football type area down there. So basketball, even though there's great basketball there, they don't really get as much notoriety as football. Once playing and just kind of growing up watching the game and got to my 8th grade year. Like I said, I played all the sports. I was still very, very skinny then at the time. So ended up played free safety as for football. And football was kind of them and basketball together. I loved them both kind of the same. So, still was kind of deciding, which route, I wanted to go with. And came up to make a hit, broke my collarbones. And, my mom and the high school basketball coach kind of made that decision for me since that. So moved to Slidell, which is right outside of New Orleans, probably my 7th grade year. And then, things just kind of worked out, really focused on basketball and, they had the right opportunities come at the right time and was able to cash in on them and led me to get the opportunity to come and get a scholarship and do.
A little bit about you, Mr. Idoka. Yours was a little different.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely different. Like you mentioned earlier, I'm from Nigeria. I, played soccer my whole life. Never played football. I hate saying soccer because it's an American thing, but yeah, I'll be American for the day. But played soccer. Yeah, played soccer my whole life, man. Up until I didn't stop because I still play. But I played soccer, and then my sister, who played basketball before me, she was a pretty decent basketball player, and then she was the first to come over to America through a basketball camp that A.G. Kilgwaja, he played in the NBA for a little bit with Braun in Cleveland. And so he comes back to Nigeria, does his little camp. And my sister was able to, forget an opportunity to come to America at that time. And so, she came in around 2011, I think, 2010, 2011. And, after seeing that, I'm like, okay, maybe I do want to go to America too. And so, she sent me some shoes at that time. And I figured out a way to, find myself on the court and, started playing a little bit. And, thankfully, God blessed me a little bit of talent, nothing too crazy, but, I was able to catch up on the game real quick. And so I started playing. This is 2013, 2012 ending into 2013 is my first time ever playing basketball. So I'm on the court every day trying to learn, hone my skills. And by 2014, I was fortunate to come to America, but that was through school. It was a U.S. Embassy student exchange program, and I came to America for about a month. We were in New Orleans, for the All-Star game, DC/New Orleans, and I enjoyed it. Talked to a couple, guys back there, high school guys, high school coaches. Nothing really came out of that, but then I went back to Nigeria and kept working on my game. And in 2015, I went to the Giants of Africa camp first. Is a Masai Ujiri. He's a NBA guy. He has his camp in Nigeria. I went to that. Didn't really do good because I was just still pretty young in the game. And then I continued to improve. And then I went to Basketball Without Borders in South Africa. which is an NBA camp, and did pretty good. And I came back and I went to Masai's camp a second time, and then I made a little name for myself, all-star, all of that, little accolades. And then by 2016, if you do good at the Africa camp, you get invited to the World Camp, and that was in Canada. So I was able to go to that camp in 2016. And, through a contact that I had in North Carolina, another Nigerian kid that was here, he knew the coach at First Assembly, Coach Canador, and, he said, hey, I got a kid in Nigeria, it's pretty decent. And, I sent him, film from all my camps, my resume, all of that. And that was how I was able to get to America. He sent me all the paperwork needed, went to the embassy, got my visa, and, came to America.
And the rest was history.
That's my story, yeah.
So my next question would be, what players, did you have any players in the surrounding area or any colleges that was nearby that had an influence on your game or just pushed you to work harder to become the player that you ultimately became?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, there was a lot. You had to start off with, Avery Johnson. Little Avery Johnson went to SUNO, which is, Southern has two campuses, one in New Orleans and one in Baton Rouge. They're mainly known for, their bands and things like that.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson growing up, and then, had Chris Jackson, which was in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
But, from Slidell to Gulfport was basically 35 minutes. So to be able to go and watch him play, Randy Livingston was a big influence who, went to Newman where Peyton and Eli and Archie and all them went to, but, he was, player of the year, that type of player, ended up going to LSU, hurt his knee really bad, but had, the opportunity to actually be really, really, really good pro. And then, when I was playing, at Quantas White and Hollis Price, who ended up going to Oklahoma, Torres Bright, who we were rivals. We went to rival schools. He ended up going to LSU. So the competition around there, Kerry Kittles, growing up, watching Kerry Kittles play, Irvin Johnson, the big one, went to UNO. So, and camps back then was the thing, it wasn't everyone, you just go straight to AU and just hoop. You went to college camp. So, I learned a lot from Perry Clark. He was at Tulane, and they had Gerald Ellicott and, going to those camps. And then, LSU, with Shaq and Chris Jackson and then the guys there. UNO, Tim Floyd was the coach there at the time. So learning from Tim Floyd, who eventually, obviously coached in the NBA, things like that. So, I think for me it was just always being competitive, going to camps, learning, as much as I possibly can. And then going to different camps to where you're playing against different people, right? So you're not always playing with your certain kind of group of friends just because you can get complacent, right? If you start dominating and start doing that, if there's no one challenging you, then, they're going to get better because they're still trying to catch up to you. But it doesn't help me out because I'm, they're in that aspect. So, and then another thing for me that always helped me out was I always played up in age. My birthday is the end of August, so I'm at that cutoff period where, I play with my grade. I'm the oldest kid. If I move up, I'm the youngest kid. Right. So I've always played up. My friends were always older than me, so I always played up. So I always played against guys that were always a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, things like that. So it helped me to think the game faster, right? Because hey, it was just straight on straight speed. I'm not going to win that race. Or straight up straight strength, I'm not going to win that race. So how can I outsmart you? What can I do to give me an advantage to be able to overcome probably the physical things that at that time I wasn't, able to do. So, yeah, those are kind of like a lot of the guys that influenced me. And then, in New Orleans, at that time we didn't have, an NBA team or anything like that. But you had WGN, which, played all the Bulls in the White Sox games. And then you had TBS,
right,
played all the Hawks. And so I knew all the Hawks players. I knew all. So then, every day you get to see, Magic come in and Isaiah come in and, Stockton come in, and things like that. So just being just a fan of sports in general, but then obviously basketball, I was always tuned in, whoever the Hawks was playing, it was on TV. So I got that opportunity to watch those guys. But the biggest influence was probably Kenny Hardaway. Watching him play at Memphis. He was, someone that even though I knew I wasn't going to be 6'7", 6'8", just the way that he played the game. And you always taking stuff from people here and there and it's trying to match it to what fits you. Like I never try to do anything that, I couldn't do or didn't really fit my game. So just being a student of the game was something that would really, really help me to develop as a basketball player.
Now, your experience may be a little different because you weren't able to put your hands on the players that they weren't coming to Africa. They weren't coming to Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So what method or what tool did you use to like put yourself in an environment similar to what Mr. Duhan did to make your game better? Were you able to see the Siakams? Were you able to see some of the players that came from that region, from the West African region? Or was it mainly TV that you utilized to develop your skill?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I started playing like end of 2012, 2013 early. So at this time, this is young OK team and, Westbrook, Durant, and playing against the Spurs and Bron and Dwayne Wade and all that. But I was more attracted to Westbrook. That's who I wanted to be. And, looking back now, you just looked at all the, all the dunks and all the, mid-range pull-ups. But, it's skills, a lot of skill level, which at that point I didn't really, understand. I just wanted to, cross somebody over and go dunk on them. But as regards that, at that point, that's who I watched. That's who I wanted to be like. This is when I just started playing basketball. Time difference. So we used to go watch the finals. This is Western Conference Finals / NBA Finals. It's nighttime, so this is like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And we're up just trying to, catch some games or watch some games. Or if we couldn't make it, every morning I'm on NBA.com. What's the top 10 plays? What's the, highlight plays from, the players that I liked at that point. And so that is, early on, that's what I did, to, try to, learn how to play the game, hone my skills and that. But, and then, so when I had players, maybe like not players, but coaches that usually came from America at that time. And Coach Chris was one of them. And I think he played college in America and he tried to, no, not the same, but he kind of gave us a, kind of image of what it is like, playing in America. So he would take us through workouts. He wasn't there a lot, but, he would come every other, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks and try to put us through workouts just to kind of, give you a taste of what, the workouts over there in America is. Mm-hmm. And then, from there, I try to pick up on stuff a lot and then just share work. We would be in the court, come back from school and be in the court all day, just, playing, shooting, watching all those videos, Ballers Live mixtape and all of that. And, and then I got the chance, like I mentioned earlier, to go to, all these camps, Giant of Africa, it was NBA guys in there, Basketball Without Borders, it was NBA guys in there. Actually, when I was in Basketball Without Borders, Africa, it was the first time they had the African game, the first time they had an NBA game in Africa. So it was everybody down there. Giannis, Chris Paul, Hakeem, a lot of NBA players were in South Africa at that point. So, got a chance to talk to some of them and, just kind of, ask questions. And then, that was basically it for me. All those camps helped a lot. I had definitely had a chance to talk to, guys that had played at all the way to the highest level. Chris Paul at that time, CJ McCollum, John Wall, Victor Oladipo, and just, all those guys. I had a chance to, talk to them and, just kind of pick their brains here and there.
So what would you say the level of competition was? The level of competition, did you have an early edge or because of your research and your development and your exposure to camps when you went back home to play against your competitors? Did that give you the edge or was it just a driven edge of your hard work and efforts?
I mean, at this point, you're just trying to learn the game as much as you can, man. So, when I go to all this camp and I see, kids from other countries which are a little more advanced than us, in basketball. Like Angola was pretty nice in African basketball, or like Tunisia. So I see all those guys, and I just want to come back and work. So as far as competition, yeah, all those, you see all those things, I'm not there, man. I'm not. So I did pretty good, but in my heart of heart, I know like I'm not at this level yet. So yeah, I would say that drove competition up a little bit. Just seeing all these other guys where they at with their skills and seeing where you at, that definitely made me want to put in work for sure.
Okay. I got a question that you seeing Chris Jackson live, because Chris Jackson was one of the players I used to look up to. Him being a smaller guard and doing the things that he did showed me his smarts of the game and showed me his skill level. And it took hard work and effort, because he's playing against guys, the average guy that he was seeing every night, I had 3-4 inches on him and definitely more weight. Now you seeing him, and I joke with my partner about it a lot, and we talk about it. I think Chris Jackson, me personally, in my opinion, Chris Jackson was the prelude for what we now see in Stephen Curry. Because I remember a game he had against Scottie Pippen and Jordan, where he went for 30 in the first half. And he's pulling up shooting threes left and right. Would you say that, in your opinion, am I exaggerating? And when I say that he was the prelude to what we now see as Stephen Curry?
No, I mean, I think that's, a fair comparison. He didn't shoot it as deep as Steph.
Right.
But then you also got to realize the game was different too.
Right.
He, in high school, he had the super green light.
Right.
In college, we playing with Shaq and Stanley Robinson. So, that green light is a little bit, not as green
Right.
with those guys. And then, obviously when he played professionally, when he started to figure it out, he had the issue with his religion thing and, things like that. And, really didn't get the support of, NBA or anything. They kind of just left him out on the island, to where we were just seeing his potential become an all-star every single year. Like he was going to be that guy, like he was that good. But, with the politics and things like that, it kind of took it away. But, he was one of the first that I've seen, really quick release, shooting, between the legs, going straight up, different footwork, shooting, not balanced every single time. Like, he was one of the first and to be that consistent and shoot it at a high level. I mean,
Right.
we talk about these guys that are, 40, 50, 90 guys. He was that type of guy. He's shooting over 40% from three. He's shooting over 50% from the field.
Right.
And he's, over 90% from the free throw line. Like he was one of the first that was an actual scorer as
Right.
well. Like you'll get, some guys that would do it, but they're only averaging 10, 12, points like that. Really, a lot of their shots came off of the offense or inside out, that type of, he was a guy that created his own shot.
Right.
And was able to still, put those type of, percentages together. So, I think he would have been, we'd have been calling Steph the 2.0,
Right.
of Chris Jackson, just because of, Steph changed the game with the range and, his ball handling and things like that. But Chris Jackson was definitely ahead of his time, as far as the power point guards play.
So let me ask y'all this. Was it, when y'all found a love for the game, were y'all those young ones that got up early in the morning, dribbling in the driveway, or was like y'all dedicated to the game for working out early or working out late, or was it just you waited and let that game come to?
I mean, I think I'm gonna say it's a progression. Like, I'm not gonna say at 6 years old, I'm waking up before cartoons and start doing that stuff. I think, for me, it was, kind of when I knew that, okay, this is a possibility, right? Because you hear it all the time. They ask you in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be an NBA player? I want to be Michael Jordan, and, that type of stuff. I think for me, when, I started doing these basketball camps, and I'm taking it seriously. And, my mom gave me a challenge where she was like, hey, if you get a scholarship, I'm gonna buy you a car. Right. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I'm gonna, make sure my mom doesn't have to pay for me for college. And when I started going to these camps, and I went to 5-star camp, and I went to all these camps, one, you seeing the talent all over, around the country, that type of stuff. And then you're measuring yourself like where you're at. Okay, now what does this guy do better than what I'm doing? And then, we're very fortunate. Usually at these camps, they have guest speakers and things like that. So I've heard, Rick Pitino and Hubie Brown and all these guys talk. And then, I was probably one of the few at a young age that actually listened, right? To like listen to what they were saying. Like, hey, it's not easy. It's, this is what you need. This is what you're tough. And I think the reality for me was knowing that, I was in a state that basketball was not number one. Basketball basically was three. It was, Saints, LSU football, LSU baseball, and then everybody else.
What about the Raging Cajuns? Y'all ever get
Everybody else.
Yeah.
So for, at that time, my goal was LSU. So I'm say probably around like 12. So during that time, like I said, I did UNO's camp. They had this thing that they put together where they call it the dribble tiers. So they'll take, their top kids from the camps that came there, and then we would work on like all these dribbling things, and then we would perform, at major high school games, and then, a lot of the UNO games come in half court, figure eight, ball handling, doing all this type of stuff, 3-man weave, 5-man weave, all that type of thing. So I kind of learned from that, because like, hey, if I'm going to be doing this in front of all these people, like I can't be the one all of a sudden the ball's fumbling off to like, no, that's not
right.
So then that's kind of like, hey, for Christmas, I was like, Mom, I don't want anything but basketball and basketball. This was like 10. Then, that's what she got me. I mean, I would be dribbling in the kitchen, all the time, going outside. I had the imagination that I actually preferred being by myself. So I was that kid playing 5-on-5, but 1-on-0.
Right.
Passing it to myself and doing all this type of stuff and putting myself in those type of situations. And then, the better I got, when I started playing, summer ball and started getting MVPs and things like that, and saw that there was a potential, that was kind of the harder that I worked, because again, I was always playing up. So for me to, win those things playing up, there's like a strong possibility that I could continue to do that. So when I got to high school, and I would say after my sophomore year, that's when like the weight training came in, the extra running, the extra shots, that type of stuff. Because I just came back from the summer, got invited to the Adidas camp, played with the Adidas AAU team, Mississippi and Louisiana. And so got to play in Vegas, got to film. Now it was a reality, because, you see Coach K and you see Tom Izzo watching your games. So then you're also playing against the best out of New York and Houston and North Carolina or wherever, right? So it's like, okay, like now this is real. Like now I got to really get stronger. I got to be focused. I got to, learn the game more. So I would say, I started doing it because I didn't want to mess up with dribble tier. But then once after my sophomore year, it went to another level, because it's kind of like you could see the light, in the tunnel. Like, okay, hey, this was your dream. Like now it's actually even bigger, because I just limited myself to LSU or Tulane, to where now, hey,
Michigan State,
interested in Michigan, Duke, UConn, those type of things. So then it just, okay, now I started remembering the messages from the camps. Like, this is what Hubie Brown was saying. Like, this is what I got to continue to keep getting better, get better. So I would say probably around that time, that's when you really, doing the push-ups in the morning, sit-ups in the morning, and then back then we played all the time. Right. So like you were always looking for a game outdoor in the project somewhere.
Right.
You was going to hoop. There was really no sitting inside playing video games or anything like that.
No.
Get outside and hoop, and that's what you wanted to do, then compete. So
man, I was gonna ask you why you set your limits at LSU. That was my next question.
Yeah, because the hoop stayed over here. He left Africa to come. Rude state. But like I would like to want to know a little bit about the experience. So because like the Mikey Williams situation, a lot of people see what happened to him, but they don't really understand that the mental issues that developed from his transition during COVID. It affected a lot of kids. So him coming to North Carolina at a time where he really couldn't get out and meet people. And I think when he got here, he was expecting a certain kind of environment, and he couldn't find that environment that he was searching for. So I was watching what he did with I Am Athlete. He did an interview with them, and he was talking about he went into a slight depression. And being at that age, transitioning from the West Coast to the East Coast, and then going back West Coast, and then, still not getting the treatment that he needed and the situation that he got himself into. Now, with you guys, you coming from New Orleans and coming to a totally different culture, you coming from Africa, and I can imagine like you came over here with basically no family, just, having to get to learn people. What were some of the tools that you used to meet the right people? And when you noticed that, what did you use to disciple which crowd you would gravitate to? Like, what were some of the key elements that you were looking at in people? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially for you, because you got an ocean that's separating you from your family.
Yeah. By the time I came, to come to go to school here, I had been here before for like a month and stayed, which was nothing, but it wasn't like totally brand new to me. And I had done a little bit of traveling by that time before I came over here. But, like I said, my sister was here already, so my sister kind of, said, hey, this is how you're supposed to do. This is what you're not supposed to do. Kind of lay the ground rules, if you want to call it that, of, how you're supposed to behave in America. But, but when I got here, I was pretty, grounded in what I knew, coming from where I come from, Shout out to my parents, my mom, my dad, they did their best to kind of, raise you right and teach you the right things and, correct you, when you make mistakes, which, I had a lot of those back in Nigeria. So I had to be corrected a lot. So by the time I came here, it was, first of all, I'm new here. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where, there's maybe cops or you in trouble. Now you're getting reported. Like, I was not hearing that. I would try my best to find a way to live Nigeria, to come, figure out a life for myself over here. So I was not trying to do anything to mess that up. So that's a fear in the back of your mind, first of all. So you're not trying to do nothing to mess that up. So when it comes to like, hanging out with the wrong crowd or whatever, you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that because I don't want to mess nothing up. So that's part one. And like I said, part two, I was pretty grounded in what I knew. So I knew to not, go towards, if the kids are, doing whatever that's bad, they're missing class, they're skipping class, or they're, failing some of their work, or, doing whatever that was, considered bad. I just knew to, not go over there because I was not trying to mess nothing up for myself. So, it wasn't no special, rule that I had. I just, knew where I was from. My sister knew, told me what I needed to know. And, my parents, did a good job of, raising me the right way. So, I just kind of knew to avoid, the appearance of anything that would make me, look like trouble or whatever. So that was my whole thing.
So discipline, ground.
Yeah, I already knew I was grounded in what I believed to be right, wrong, So yeah, that was it for me.
Now you coming from a football state to the hoop state. I always joke about that with you, but what was your transition like leaving, like you said, LSU was your first choice, and the culture that Louisiana has is far different than North Carolina's. What major adjustments did you have to make? Like, you became, looking at your career, you was kind of like the blueprint for what a lot of Duke players became after you. So like, what did you do to make sure that you didn't bring shame to your family, or what did you look for to gravitate to when you met players and you met people in that Raleigh-Durham area?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of all the credit goes to my mom, just how she raised me, raised in the church and, church there all the time,
Right.
and things like that. And, always wanted to treat people with respect and things like that. So, I mean, those are the values, the base values, your core that, you just carry them on, and that kind of can, you can integrate that anywhere you go. Kind of like for just your base core values, what your beliefs are, and like those type of things. I don't think the adjustment was, really that bad, because I think at that time, you're on a mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to Duke. Yeah, I get a free education, and that's great. But now you're thinking, okay, I'm thinking NBA, right? I'm thinking, what can I do? And now I'm going to a place where there's McDonald All-Americans all around.
Right.
So if I'm slacking on giving I didn't want to do anything to not give myself an opportunity to play.
Okay.
Because I know the next year there are more coming in, and the year after that there are more coming in, and the year after that. So it was like, became brothers and family, but at the same time we're competing.
Right.
Just like people with brothers and siblings, you compete with your siblings,
right?
Things like that. But then you get to the dinner table, everything's fine, and things like that, or something will go down. That they have your back. So, for me, once I got here, it was, hey, you're closer to your dream,
right? You can taste it.
You can taste it,
right?
And you're in the right situation, and Coach K was a great mentor to all of us. And then I was very fortunate. I had great seniors my freshman year with Shea Batty and Nate James, and even the walk-ons, Jamie Simpson and Brian Colbeck, just guys that you can look up to and see, okay, this is how they move, this is how they do things like that. He's going to be a pro. And then, J. Roll and Dunleavy and Boozer, they were next up. So I'm watching them as well. They've already been there for a year. So, I was very fortunate. I had a lot of people that I can look and learn from, and that set the example for me. And, I just kind of followed that lead.
Okay. You got anything?
Well, no.
Well, my next question would be like, man, what was it like to be? I mean, like that was my next question, and you kind of hit on that, like the mentorship that Coach K gives. Like me doing a little research on him, because he was iconic in me learning basketball, because his discipline and what you could see he displayed with players. Because I would see players, make a mistake, Coach K pull them out, and during that time, Bobby Knight was doing this thing in Indiana, and they had two different approaches. Coach K, I would see him talking to players, and he kind of like coaching you through your mistake versus just sitting you down and you don't play anymore. So, like, what was that mentorship like? Was it just basketball, or there was his mentorship pour into every aspect of your life, like leadership, family, being productive in the community? Like, what would you define his mentorship played a major role in your life? What role would it play in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all the great coaches, because I think sports is the best way to learn about life, because there's so many different elements that you need to be a great team, that you'll need to have a great business you can put into raising a family, just because a lot of the core values, it's like just collective responsibility.
Okay.
Something goes wrong, if I continue to start blaming this, and this, and that, then I'm never going to really figure it out. Like, I just always have excuses. It's like, okay, what was my role in the situation?
Right.
How can I do better? Because maybe if I did better, things. So he did a great job of that, because we could, put that in all aspects of our life. He held us to a standard. Like, there was a certain standard that he wouldn't let us go below, and if we did do that, he will hold us accountable, right? And that kind of goes to who's in your corner, right? Who are people that are not afraid to tell you, like, this is wrong. We didn't have yes man. He wasn't a yes man, right? So we knew what our objective was, we knew what our goal was, but then I think the other thing is just that he forced us to learn from different people. When we'll go on the road, like, I'm not gonna always be with, Jay Williams and Daniel Ewing, like, as my roommates. Like, oh, go room with Nick Horvath, who's from Minnesota, who, learn about him and things like, learn about what they do and what they like and things like that, or, whoever it may be. So he always put us in situations to where, if you have your core values, your true beliefs, and you do them every single day at a high level, you'll be able to, to be a part of any group or organization or be in any type of environment because you have your core beliefs. And that's something that, I take, with, my family, I use with, my team, just because, I think when you are able to build that great team chemistry and things like that, trusting one another, having pride in everything that you do to where, you're not just coming in, just doing it just to do it.
Right.
Hey, if there's something there, might as well give them all. Right. Caring for one another, caring about yourself, but caring for others, those type of things. And, those things that he taught me is, what he continues to teach. And then what makes it even better, so and when you teach it at a high level and players gravitate to it, now they become the teacher. So then, you never get to a point where his voice is too much because now you're holding me accountable as a senior.
Right.
You're holding me accountable. And when by the time I'm a senior now, I'm holding you accountable. And then like it just continues to keep cycling. And then now you never get tired of his voice. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do this, do this, do this, do this, do that. Because now my brother is doing that. Right. Oh, no, we don't do this here. This is how we do it. And I learned that from him watching him having great leadership there. And then, so he just taught us how to be all leaders, how leaders are men and things like that. And that way we could take that to any aspect we go to in life.
Okay, cool. And, when the strange thing about it is the more I get to know you is I see that that's kind of when I met you in every conversation we have, that's the standard that you have. It's like a leadership role. You always take the higher role. Like, sometimes I ask you a question about an athlete and I'm just joking just to see what your response is. And you've never said anything negative. You've always been like, well, as an athlete, sometimes it's the environment. I was talking about a player in a slump, and I remember you saying sometimes it's the environment, going into different arenas and stuff like that. It's a different comfort zone. Mm. So I can attribute and testify to that, what he put in you. You know what I'm saying? It's part of your personality now. It's
and I think once you start to play as athletes, like, I'm learning his story as it goes, but we're similar in, being in the locker room and knowing what it has to take and then drive. So like, even from afar, I can understand because I'm going through it. He's going through the same thing that I'm going through. All right. So I can understand like, oh, okay, this may seem off, or this may seem off, or this may not be able, or this is what worked, right? Just from afar. And I think just because, we were such students of the game growing up, learning from others, we can empathize with other players that we may not even know, but just being students of the game, just be like, all right, hey, all of you, because, we all are fans, and then we're coming in and like, and now I'm a coach and I kind of think the game differently. Mm-hmm. And, you see something happen, like, oh, why he didn't do this, or he should have passed it, or he should have shot it. And you're like, first of all, you don't know the game plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know what we doing.
You don't know the game. Why you didn't guard it this way?
No.
You don't know the game plan.
Right.
That might have been the game plan. And like that player was just better at that point.
Right.
So, I think, we've got to a level, especially now he's coaching as well, that you think the game differently and you empathize, with other players, good or bad, because, we know the situation. There's times where, we've been in locker rooms and coaches have a game plan and you're like, that ain't gonna work. But,
right.
And then, but you got to go, if you want to play, you got to go execute it, right? And you got to go do it. And, some nights it may make you look bad. And then some nights what you thought was right was actually wrong. And, and it actually works, right? So we've been in both those situations. So you just never know, and you had brought up Mikey, like you just, you never know. Like when you get to those levels, and now, what I'm concerned about is that now we're putting so much pressure on these kids in high school,
Right,
that you're not letting them grow.
Right.
Now they can't make any mistakes. Like college, you can make a little bit, but not even now. Any certain mistake in college, off the video, everything's on. But now you bringing that to the high school level when you're supposed to be a kid. You're supposed to be falling off of bars. You're supposed to be knocking on people's doors and running. And like, you're growing up. Like, you can't. But if that happens and you're already highly profile, then you are already getting judged as a certain type of individual.
Right.
So then learning, we struggle with that as men. I mean, imagine if I had to go through that when I'm 14, 15, 16 years old. Well, I'm still trying to figure out who I am as a man. I'm not even a man yet. Right. And I'm trying to figure out who I am as a man. And
you're supposed to make them mistakes.
Yeah. And right now is that we're at a point where we're asking everyone to be perfect.
Yeah. Right. And then you got adults, in that situation. You have adults screaming at a kid, you know what I'm saying, and calling him overrated and the things that he was subjected to away from home. So yeah, I totally get that, because people don't grasp the concept of these are kids, even in college. You know what I'm saying? You guys think about when you were in college, you was playing college ball, you go into an arena and you got adults screaming some of the craziest things at y'all, and this is a game. Like I'm gonna refer to what Draymond was talking about, and Kyrie. Like when they went to Boston. I'm a diehard Celtics fan, but some of the things that they say that the fans say, I mean, like, and you guys were subject to that, before you were 25, which science has proven 25 is when the brain matures. So like, it took a lot of discipline, a lot of character for you to even not respond to that. You know what I mean? So, piggybacking off of that, what was your experience like, when you went to UNC Asheville? What was it like?
I mean, it was a, now when you look back at it, it was a humbling experience for me from a basketball standpoint. Because, when you're learning the game as a high school kid, I was blessed athletic, like I was pretty athletic. So in high school, I was having my way. I'm dunking on people as layups after layups, or, rebounds or whatever, I was kind of having my way, but the skill level was not there, basically. I was skilled, but I never worked at it as much. I didn't understand how, to translate that skill level into the game. In high school you get away with it, but you get to college and it's a different ball game. And you have, a lot of guys want to blame coaches, and thankfully I still have a good relationship with my coaches from Azure. Now, they're not without fault, but, I'm a person that likes to hold myself accountable. No matter what you do, when you're lying to yourself and when you're telling the truth. So, I try to not, lie to myself when it comes to situations like that. So, what was my skill? At Azure, could I play? Absolutely. I think I could have played, but was my skill level there to where the coach is confident to put me in the game? Absolutely. It was not there. So, that was my experience at Azure, my 2 years there, winning on the basketball side. But, outside of basketball, it was a great experience for me, man. I think some of my closest college friends now are the ones I went to Azure with. We're family now. So I stay in touch. We still have a group chat. This is 5 years later. But, and through Azure, I was able to connect with a lot of good people, and, go to a lot of NCAA, events that were very helpful to me in, building kind of a, thinking ahead, trying to build a career out of either coaching or whatever. And, it was a great experience for me, from that standpoint, outside of basketball. But, from a basketball standpoint, like I said earlier, it wasn't very, very, very pleasant, which is why I did, transfer out of there to, trying to, say, okay, maybe I need to go to this level, kind of, hone my skills and, learn how to play the game the right way. But yeah, that was my, college experience. Well, UNC Azure experience as regards, basketball and, outside of basketball. But, and to finish my college experience, when I transferred to, Limestone, university for my last 2 years. It was from the basketball side, it was definitely a lot better. Just because I was gifted athletically, I had a chance to kind of, play across the board. We might go small, I might be the 4-man, or we might be a little bigger, I'm the 3 or the 2. And, I had a chance to play a good bit and, enjoy my, college basketball, career, finish, I averaged, I think, 10 points my last 2 years, or maybe 8 or 9, one of them. And, it was great for me. But yeah, that was my college experience. For sure.
So do y'all think, like, cause me looking at games now, I look at it and I be like, this dude relying more on his athletic ability than working on the skill. Yeah. So do y'all see that a lot? Like now, like coaching, do you see like that kid that he really don't know the game, but he just so athletic that he can play the game? And how do you get through to that kid when you see that potential, but he just not like honing his skill?
Yeah.
Like do you go at him and talk to him? Like, I mean, like, as a coach, how would you come across to him like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think now the skill level is at an all-time high. Players are like way more skilled than when I played, but how to play the game is very low.
No. Yeah.
Just because I think kids don't want to play. I coached at Marshall, I coached at Illinois State, coached at Bryant. Them playing pickup is like pulling teeth, to where it's the opposite. And sure, me growing up is like, I really don't want to spend 30 minutes like just drilling. I know I had to, but hey, if I'm doing this and you say we got to pick up, hey, let's go hoop.
Right.
And you go hoop, and then again, you play with older players. That helps you. Like, okay, I can't just get away with my athleticism, because even if I'm more athletic than them, they're smarter.
Right.
They know angles. They gonna test you, right? They boom, put you on the floor and see how you gonna react. Like, okay, you're quicker, I gotta be physical. So it made you learn how to adjust in different situations. So with my guys, I try to get us to play in game situations a lot. And then, I'll put rules on there. So if there's a guy that I feel that can shoot the ball, is not really, really confident, got to get him confident. Hey, if we're playing, you make a 3, that's 4 points. All right. So like, if we're going to 21, we're down 17, you hit a 3, game's over. And then now the guys are thinking of ways like, hey, we're now 19-17, but if he hits this 3, game's over. So now they're starting to think, hey, how can I get him open? Like, let me go get this guy open. Then he goes set a screen. Let's hit the blue ball. Now I'm not going to take this shot that I've been jacking up the first 10 minutes because, hey, the game's on the line. I know if I get him open, he's capable of making. So you got to do things like that. I mean, I think it's tough because everything is quick access now. Guys don't watch games no more.
Right.
My son doesn't want to. Like, him and them, us sitting down watching, a game is, he's on his phone, things like that. He's really not watching it, but that's how you learn the game. Like, that's how you learn the nuances, of the game. And I think kids today, and it could be, us as parents as well, we're just throwing these kids at trainers, when they're 9, 10 years old, and the trainers don't know what the high school coach is teaching.
Right.
The trainers don't know what the AAU coach is teaching. So you're teaching this kid all this, swing, step back, spin, do, and then you get in those situations, that's all you know how to do. And a lot of these trainers are teaching, pass and cut, 5 out, back door, guys guard me this, do this. They're just teaching you stuff with, hey, when I have the ball, I can do these Kyrie moves.
Right.
That's what I got to do. To not understand, like, the higher, if you do get good at that, the higher you go, there's going to be guys that can guard that. Right. So what's your plan B?
Right.
So a lot of these kids only have plan A's and no plan B's. So, I show a lot of film, to my guys, not as, but just teaching them the game. So we would watch game film after, and then, after the while, like the first maybe, month, I'm doing all of the talking, and then I would just go and then I'll pause it. All right, what do you see? Like, what do you see here? Why? And as coaches, we can't see it my way, right? Because game is different.
Right.
Game is a lot different from when I play it. So even though I can still adjust and play it that way, I got to be as a coach to where we can come to a middle ground, because I may see things a lot faster than what they do.
Yeah.
I'm able to see 2 or 3, 4 plays ahead. Like, I already know how you run in and how the defender is. He's going to be open. So, I over there on the boot, pitch your head. They don't see that so I got to be very intent of coaching my kids like they're in elementary.
Right.
So, even if I say step up screen, a lot of these kids don't know that technology.
Right.
Or flare. They don't know that. We're down in ball screens. So what I think is elementary, it really is elementary,
Right.
For them. So I got to have the patience to really break down and teach, footwork and, like you're doing a basketball camp with kids. Like, you really have to break every single thing down. And then there's a lot of repetition. So, that's kind of my approach, with teach, because, I just was, in South Carolina, Rock Hill this weekend, watching some of my kids play AAU. And, you just watch any game. It's the same thing. It's the same.
Go get a bucket.
But then you see a few teams
Playing
that, bam, and you see why they're winning.
Right.
You see, boom, they know how to play. They catch, pass, backdoor cut. They're more of a team. And, so you can see the difference of it. And, I think, it's, again, a gift and a curse, because we are more skilled. We're all a lot more guys are able to shoot the basketball. A lot more guys are able to dribble the ball, that type of stuff. But then when the competition level raises, then can you outthink that person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of, we tell them, because they see the highlight, they don't know these guys like Kyrie and Dave and Steph, like, they think the game just as quick as they do all their moves.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They think the game, like, everything they do is a setup.
Right.
It's like, okay, you're doing this. So their mind is always just taking information, and then it's like, okay, now I got you. There's no way you can guard me.
Right.
But they only just see the finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you got to just keep telling them. It's like, that's just the finished product.
Right.
You don't guys understand how much film that they're watching and what they're studying their opponent. Like, even when they're on the bench, they're looking and seeing, okay, this is how they're guarding me. This is how I get to attack. Like, their mind is always thinking the game. Like, our kids, they get on the bench.
They just see what's in front of them right there.
They looking in the stand.
Look at the stand.
What you doing? What you doing after the game?
Trying to send somebody to get candy
Going after
bars.
the game.
I don't know if you have this problem, but like, one of the issues I had, especially early, is literally calling a timeout, drawing up a play. Oh Lord. Like, and we have the ball, so we have to get a stop first and then go out,
Literally,
and they
forget.
can't run it.
Forget it that quick.
Literally, forget.
So from the time that you're doing that, but it comes to the attention span. Everything is so quick. So you got to really be like, no, look, you're not getting water. You're not wiping your sweat off. Focus. This is you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got to point on the court. This is where you're going to be.
Right.
And like, you got to really, and that's when it comes back to me saying I make it real elementary with a lot of them, because their attention span is so short right now. It's very short. And it goes to what's your workouts, 45 minutes, hour. We're just going to focus on this for 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, to where you're not thinking or really explaining, why am I doing this? Oh, well, I got to keep my eyes up just in case this guy cuts and this, all that. So that's just, you got to be real more patient as far as teaching them the game and them understanding it. And you got to let them fail, right? You got to let them fail, and like, that's the only way they're gonna be like, all right, coach, I'm ready. And that was like us growing up too,
Right?
We sometimes thought we were better than what we were, and started, really, okay, coach, I hear what you're saying, and bye again. All right, coach, you're right. I got to do it. What you said? All right, now I'm ready to. So,
Yeah, you got to eat your pride.
yeah, you gotta let them. You gotta
Right.
let them fail as well too.
So then you like your son is like is his goal at that level, and are you pushing him with your knowledge to make sure that he make it to that level?
So it's changed. All right. So, obviously I knew it would be different for him just because without him even deciding if this was what he wanted to do, everyone kind of decided it for him. Right. So then, I'm not the parent that goes to games and I'm yelling, do this, do that, or you do that, or even car rides home. Like I stay quiet. Like if he wanted feedback, then I would give it to him. Then it got to a point at the middle school where he was getting a little bit better and things like that. But he wasn't at the level at some of the other guys. And, middle school, how kids are, stuff like that. So, his pride started to get to like, all right, I want to get better. And, my thing to him was that, one, this is your life. You're a Jeremy Dillon. You're not Chris Dillon.
Right.
You're a Jeremy Dillon. So anything that I've done has nothing to do with it. You're your own person. Right? Two, if you're deciding to do this, you have to want it.
Right.
This has to be your dream. This can't be my dream. I already lived my dream. I'm old. My knees hurt.
You've been having dreams about playing me. That's the road to be.
I got four other kids. Like,
Right.
This has to be your dream. So you have to put in the work. I can't be the one forcing you to do it. So, when he said that in middle school, he was like, I want to get extra frat. So all right, we had a gym available. We can go anytime. It's like, when do you want to go? It's like, I'm going to go in the morning. I said, I'm not setting an alarm. I said, you need to be in my room, waking me up, saying, Daddy, let's go. It's like, all right. So thought I was joking. Didn't set the alarm. He thought I was going to wake him up. So this has to be you.
Right.
And then once we got to a month where he was consistent, waking me up, hey, Dad, let's go to the gym. Now that's when I felt, okay, he's making that transition to this is what he wants to do, this is what he needs. He's starting to understand it. And, that's been what the transition is to now I see the commitment. So now I'm more willing to, hey, this is what we got to do better. This is what you got to do. And now he's more receiving of it because he's committed. If I'm just throwing that stuff at him early and he's really not committed, well, he don't forget about it. It's really not going to make that much of an impact.
Right.
But now he's committed and he's seen the progress and he's seen success with it. Now he's really more open to absorbing more information and, doing what he needs to do. So that's kind of been our progress. But even with that, it's still, hey, when he comes and asks me, say, you're not doing enough.
Right. Right.
So you're doing enough, right, that gets you by. But if you're wanting to go to Duke or Carolina or anything else, come on, so you're not doing enough.
Right.
You're not doing enough. You don't, you got to find an edge. Like you wasn't blessed with my speed and that. Like you may get it because he's growing and he's growing into it. But, now you got to find a different way to be effective. And, he's starting to learn that by, again, I start having him play, all right, you got to go play with older people or people that are stronger. And like, you got to figure it out. Like there's no excuses. Like you got to figure out, like, that type of thing. So he's getting there, and now I'm just telling him, okay, hey, we hit this checkpoint. This is the next one.
Right.
All right. So when I hit this checkpoint, you got to start doing this, and that. So I give him the information. And so now it's kind of like to see what you want to do with it on your own. And then if you come ask me for help, of course I'm going to be there. I'm going to do everything I can.
Right.
But I'm not going to be the one saying, oh, get up, let's go.
Right.
Where's Fresh?
Right.
No.
No, you don't force feed.
No. But then if we do, then I'm that guy. Touch the line. They're like, no, we going to work. You're going to get me out of bed. We ain't just in here having fun. Like, we going to work. So, so it's kind of worked out that way. And I think he appreciates it more because it's his now.
Right.
Right. It's like with anything. If it's your car, you don't have pride in that.
Right.
You don't take care of it. You don't do whatever, So if it's your dream, you're gonna do what you need to do to be able to get to that dream.
Right. So you took the pressure off of him
Yeah.
living up to your standard and build your own legacy.
That's
You're right.
I tell him, man. Every day I tell him, it's like, look, if you decide to stop playing basketball tomorrow, I'm not gonna love you less.
Right. Right.
I said, but whatever you do choose, you got to know what the commitment level is going to be needed for you to be successful in that.
Right.
There's nothing is going to happen like TikTok. You go do 2 videos and you got to run. Like even the people with the TikTok stuff, they're video right after, video right after, video right after.
Right.
So they're committed to it, and it's boom, boom, or I get new material, like whatever it may be. Like you got to always be evolving and be willing to, put all your energy in something that you in love with. So, so he's figuring it out.
Now, your coaching experience is a lot different because you're young and you're dealing with pretty much your peer group. Now, how hard is it to get people your age to take advice and to take pointers on what you're looking for, what you need from them, and like how to make them better players?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little hard, but right now in my position, I'm a graduate assistant right now. So whatever I'm saying is I got to make sure it's coming straight from the boss. Yeah, you're not trying to give them no, different information than what the boss man is saying. He's worked in
he's still in that learning process.
He's worked in a college rank, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that's what I mean. So like, obviously, at some point you develop a close relationship with some of the guys or like all of the guys, and so you might talk a little bit more, about more basketball stuff, like hey, how you need to do this. I try to get them like just work. Like that is my, that's the position I'm in right now. Like work, come to the gym, text me. I'm gonna be in the gym with you. It's like that's what I'm trying to get them to understand. Like he said, sometimes if you want to go. You got to think where you want to go. I want to be first team all conference. I want to be all defensive. I want to be something. Then if you got to put in first team all conference work. So you can't just come in 30 minutes before practice every day and shoot and say, that's it. Yeah. That's going to get you nowhere. You're going to be maybe honorable mention. You're super talented. But if you want to be first team, you have to come in the gym every day, get your shots up. What shots are you shooting in the game? In our offense, what kind of shots do you get when we run our offense? You need to be working on those. It's got to be second nature. If I'm coming off that shake and I got someone hits me on that pass, it's got to be money every time. I'm making in workouts, I got to get at least 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, shooting 70, 80%. So that is basically what I'm doing with these guys. And sometimes, again, a lot of these young guys, they think, they got to just set me a flat ball screen. Let me go. No, you're not doing that. So I have to, listen to what the head coach or the assistant coach are saying, what they want us to do. And that's what I'm trying to get these guys to understand. So I'm trying to make them understand why we do this and why it's going to work. We play out of the Princeton offense a lot. So a lot of guys, that play a lot of one-on-one ball, they don't really like the Princeton offense because there's a lot of movement. You gain shots off a back door or, a curl, whatever. And then sometimes you might get a screen here and there. So some of these guys are like, no, I want a ball screen. Let me get a ball screen. Let me go, let me go do what I do. But our offense is not that. Now you buy into, I'm trying to get these guys to buy into it, and then we go on a 9-game winning streak this season, we win a lot of games. So, that's basically what I do with these guys. And sometimes it's hard because, they think they know, like, this is not working, whatever. But so, my job is just to make sure that, kind of, again, show film, make them understand. So every day after, we film a lot of practice. So I'm watching practice every day. I'm like, hey, man, look, if you backdoor there, you would have had a bucket. Or if you curl that, whatever. So that is my, making sure I understand what the coaches are saying personally, as a young, coach in the game right now. Make sure I understand and trying to help them understand that do this the right way and then it's going to work out good for you. So that's where I'm at,
Now, my question is, you play with considerably one of the best basketball players of all time, Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. Now, his work ethic, we're talking about work ethic and commitment and his devotion to the game. Like, is that what him being athletic and being good already? Do you think that's what made him great? Like that commitment, that discipline? Because I hear stories, guys talk about him all the time. Like they're going places after the game. He just played a full game, sometimes overtime, and he's right back in there getting up shots. That type of commitment on top of talent, do you think that's what make these players like the Jordans, the Kobe's, the LeBron? Is that what separate them, playing in the NBA yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and it's just a mentality too.
Right.
Like they don't take, everyone looks at the physical.
Right.
And obviously that has something to do with it, right? Ability to jump over and take difficult shots and things. But their mental preparation and mental aspect, that's what gets you over. That what makes you, you're supposed to do 7 reps. You do 8,
Right.
or you're supposed to do 9. Like that mental, how they're able to trick their minds into like, this is not good enough, or this is, because all of us work hard.
Right.
It's just different levels.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, I work hard in high school. I get to college, my first 2 workouts in college, I'm like,
Throwing up. Yep. That was me.
Right.
too.
like, oh, I thought I was in shape. Okay, let me get it.
Yeah,
Right.
I go
me
4
too.
years at Duke, best shape guy in there. My first 2 workouts,
Different.
like, I'm not working hard.
Right.
And so it's just different levels.
Yeah.
Right.
And then guys that are able to trick their minds into one, they go into every workout, anything they do, they're going 100%. There's no days where
Everyday guy.
just coming here, like there's a purpose every time they're in the gym. Even if it's mental, them taking care of their bodies or whatever, or watching film. Like they're not watching film and like dozing off or checking a text message here or there. Like bam, they're locked in. Right. So that's the different mentality that they have, and they're always looking for an edge. Like because they said to themselves, like, I want to be the best. All right, so Kobe studied everything Mike did, and then took the good, took the bad, what works for him, what doesn't work for him, and then he's studying Akeem Olajuwon footwork. Hey, well, I'm gonna be in the post. There's some stuff, and then he's repping, and then that's what the thing is. What separates is that we get tired of repping.
Right.
We ready to go play.
Right.
Right. We like, all right, I done rep 10,000. Like I'm good now.
Right.
But they going 20,000. And they're going 25,000. And that's what separates, them, because they're always got in their mind that someone's trying to get better.
Right.
That's what some of my guys say now. I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
Some people are blessed to be able to turn that on and off, but even those guys, their reps are insane. They don't joke around with it. So you have to, like you said, reps on reps on reps on reps on reps on reps.
Yeah.
That's the only way, man. Second nature till it's second nature.
It's funny you said that, because like one of my experiences of that type of player, but he's actually was way better, Jamal Crawford. I got to New York.
Right.
And Jamal, hard worker, comes in early, gets shots up, comes in late, that type of thing. But then when we get to practice, he wouldn't shoot. All right, so my first year there, I'm trying to get, I'm getting nines up.
Right.
Wouldn't shoot. We go through preseason. Wouldn't shoot. All right, so I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to get my feel like, hey, how
Right.
you play this type of stuff? And he's like, they only play when the lights come on.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to, I'm trying to be okay. But in saying that, he was still getting his work in.
Right.
It wasn't like he, in practice, he probably at that time was like, but he was coming in early, getting his lift in, getting his shots up, going game speed. And then at night, he was doing the same thing. Like, so I knew that, but I'm just like, why you don't, shooting? But you know what? First game, 35. Man, lights on. I'm like, so we talking about guys that can turn it on and off.
It's definitely people like that.
Yeah,
Like you said.
you can turn it on and off, but you're not getting
It's
to
a
that
lot of
grade
workship.
level.
Yeah.
You're not getting to that grade level if you
Turn it on.
Doing that. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Those guys are always on. Even if they're 3 for 25, they're on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already thinking about adjustments next time we play, what they need to do to get better. They're already thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
Win, lose, they're already thinking about how I can get better. What I'm going to be doing next. to where, you know, we're thinking about, hey, what we gonna eat, where we going tonight. Like, what I gotta do better. Like Kobe used to get all his shots in the first half. Like, so at the first half, the video guy give him all his shots, and he just watching. And he's not watching to see how pretty his form is, or he's watching what the defense is doing. And then he's already predicting, all right, I've been killing them with the baseline span. They're going to start sending this guy over.
Upset.
Hey, when you see this, I need you to cut. And you don't even know what you're talking about because he's in his own world.
Right. Yeah.
But he's
already seen it.
Already seen, oh, okay, they're doing this on the pick and roll. I'm going to start doing this, blah, blah, blah. And like he already preparing. Well, you know, we untying our shoes, gotta use the bathroom.
Right.
What coach coming in here and talk about?
Yeah.
He focused, thinking about, okay, this what adjustment. Because those guys know the coaches too.
Right.
Like Jordan knew what, you know, George Karl was going to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And he watched what he did to Kai Drexler or whatever. Like, they know their tendency. Tom Brady, he knows the defensive coordinator tendencies.
Right.
And Kobe knows those guys are like that. Like, not just studying players, they're finding out tendencies. Like whatever advantage they can get.
Even referees.
Referees.
Yeah.
And the referees are true because, you know, we know Joey Crawford called a certain way. You know, this guy a certain way. You know, this guy favors, you know, superstars more than like, so they can get away with. They knew all that. So he was like, I know I'm going to draw a foul in. This is Tony Brothers here. If I just do this. You know all that. But that's the next level that not the average person thinks of.
Right.
What's crazy, what I noticed, like, those ones that's at that level, their IQ level of the game is crazy. Like, I think I was watching the NFL Network, and I seen this little documentary of Peyton Manning. And they said in the offseason practicing, he would practice at safety just so he could see the defense. So he can see that side of the defense to see, okay, this is what I need to do here and this and that. Yeah. And the third, and I think that's like the IQ, that's what really set them apart.
Yeah, I was, you know, LeBron and JJ got the new podcast.
Yeah, I watched that.
Which is awesome. Like them, you know, JJ is a student of the game, and obviously we know LeBron, but they was telling Kobe stories and writing. Yeah. When he was player of the year, got to, you know, try out for the USA team and stuff like that. And, you know, obviously Coach K was the coach then, and, you know, Kobe out the blue was like, JJ, let's go get shots, right? And he's like, oh man, I think cool. Kobe got me. Want to go get a workout in. And he's like, he realized after the next 15 minutes, Kobe's just watching how I catch the ball, how I move the ball, how my footwork and things like that. He was just sitting there, like he wasn't shooting. He was just studying. So basically, like, so that's how you're saying, like, they're always looking for what advantage, what I can take, what I can add. You know, this is one of the best shooters out of college. Right. You know, what does he do where I can improve my shooting percentage? You know, things like that. And, you know, like, you know, football, they do that all the time. Like, they want to be in the defensive room. They want to hear the lingo and things like that because, you know, in all leagues, everything's a copycat league.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You know, you just put your own spin on it, dressing on it, but everybody does the same thing. Everybody does the same action. You know, you just get to it a little bit different. And so everyone has the same talk. You know, we got the same lingo, like shakes and, you know, backs on drags and double, you know, everyone has the same lingos. So, you know, you're just always trying to catch, hey, you know, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So like it may be banana, but like, hey, the thing is if it starts with this letter, this is what they're doing. Banana means bliss. Okay. So they might be saying bunny.
Right.
But you already, B, it might blitz. This guy might be, you know, so there's always the things that you're trying to pick up to get out of that.
Now, I want to talk about feeling that rush after that confetti came down when y'all won that chip and Duke. Like, describe the locker room, like the brotherhood. Was there a brotherhood after that memory of winning a championship? Like,
yeah, I mean, because you go through so much.
Right.
Every, some say 90%, but 90%, 95%, you know, people that end up winning, there's a struggle point at some point. There's some adversity that you have to go over.
Right.
So, like, me coming in, they had just lost, I think, Florida the year before when they were expected to kind of go. So, they were already on the mission. I got thrown into the fire. You're talking about a freshman coming into something that they're already holding a standard and they're pissed off about it.
Right.
So I'm like walking on tiptoes anyway. It was
Right.
one, I got to earn a spot to play. I want to be a part of it. But we're so we're going through. I mean, preseason was crazy. Practices were intense. So we go on the roll. First adversity, we lose to Stanford, and but learning point there. Coach is like pissed off. We end up losing like a buzzer shot. The Shane's in the back, like next play. Right, one coach's teaches like, hey, this will happen. Learn from it. Move it on to the next thing. Right, there's no need to dwell on it. It's already done. Shane's in there joking with us, stuff like that, making the move. So we're not feeling, we're already feeling the pressure. Right. So we start doing that. Go through the season, lose senior night. Lost to Carolina senior night. Like, another adversity. Like, oh. Then Boozer breaks his foot against Maryland. We lose to Maryland at home. And this is right before we play Carolina again, and then ACC tournament. So we don't know Boozer be back or not. We have no idea. So that's when we're like, oh man, the season's over. We're not gonna win. Like, we put all this work in, and, so we have practice the next day. Coach comes in there. We start practicing, kicks us out. And just come here, kicks us out. Come back in after. Come back. Kind of see guys that we're just we're in motion.
Right.
Kicks us out again. Come back 6 a.m. the next one. It's like, hey man, if you guys believe in what I tell you, we'll win the national championship. Say, but you gotta believe. I'm not gonna go out there and coach a team that doesn't believe. All right. So, it's like, hey, this is a change. Casey, you're in. Chris, you in for Nate. Nate, you okay with that? Yes, sir. Chris, you go out, still bullshitting, kick us out. Come back in the afternoon. So then before we had a team meeting with the seniors, Shane's like, hey, you haven't been wrong. Hey, let's do what he says. Let's go do it all out. Season's done, right? Nate's like, Chris, need you to play your game. Like, don't worry about me. I'm okay. I'm fine. It's like, okay, I got the reassurance. Because, you look up to those guys coming in, right? So, all right, coach, let's do it. Practice. Got Carolina coming up. They're 1 or 2 in the country at the time. It was SmackDown. So then it was like, oh, okay, it does work.
Yeah.
ACC tournament, win that. So then we find out, hey, there's a chance Boozer come back if we make it, Sweet 16, Elite 8. But by then, Casey's playing at a high level. Reggie Love, so we weren't a deep team going into that. But then going into the tournament, we became a deeper team. We were now able to play 89 because guys just started believing. And I think that's why it made it more special because, again, you went through that adversity. You had that indecision of, are we going to push through and go forward, or are we going to just make an excuse?
Right.
All right, there's no excuse. Hey, Case is a McDonald's All-American too. Come on, Case, dude.
Right.
Come on and play. Let's empower him. Like, and let him know that, hey, we have confidence and faith in you too. Chris, you're a freshman. You ain't a freshman no more.
Right.
You didn't play, at Maryland down 10. You played in all these games. I'm like, hey, let's go. And so I think us coming together made it even more special. Yeah, I mean, we have a group text that we have, and we all stay in contact with one another
to this day.
To this day, yeah. That's up. So it's really a brotherhood because you get, we get spotlights already on you. Right. We already know if we lose, or this is during that time, we lose, we're on Sports Center first thing.
Right.
Duke loses, and then crowd rushing the floor, whatever. So we didn't want those stuff. So we already became close because we all knew, kind of the consequences of
us against the world mentality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, it had been since 92 since I was able to celebrate a national championship. And I've been waiting. I was waiting. Brought a tear to my eye. And I want to thank you, Chris, for bringing that joy back into my heart.
I mean, and what? I mean, well, we went down 22 against Maryland in the Final Four.
Yeah.
And, it just came back to us looking each other in the eyes and saying, Coach came in there like, look, I ain't calling no more plays. So you guys just go hoop. So don't look at the bench. If you pick a turnover, don't do anything. Just go hoop, play as hard as you possibly can. So you're down 22. If you lose by 32, what, you think that's going to be less shame?
Right.
I make a point.
Right.
Friends. We just took off.
Now, would you include, you play beside Jay Will. Would you include him in that conversation if it wasn't for the accident?
Oh, yeah.
You think he would have led on to be what I would say him and Iverson would have been neck and neck?
He ain't as fast as Iverson.
Nah. Yeah. He's not even
Iverson in a different stratosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, and they had different games.
Right.
Like, he would have been more...
Because at his height, he could get a bucket. That's what I
that's what I'm trying.
More like a Kevin Johnson 2.0.
I mean, I think he was... How tall was Kevin Johnson?
I think he was like 6'1", 6'2".
Man, he was big. And Jay Will's found like 6'3", and he's like strong. Like, so I would be like more explosive, like Chauncey Billups.
Okay. A physical.
Because I'm just thinking, Jay got them shoulders.
Right.
He get by, he hit you with one of them. You
Right.
And then he was just starting to figure it out. So you talk about situations, and he was talking about how, at first spot was at UNC Asheville. Yeah, UNC Asheville. How the coaching, the basketball thing. Well, when he got to Chicago, it was Bill Cartwright as the head coach.
Right.
And, they're Bill Cartwright center playing inside. You really don't have that dominant guy in there. The team makeup was a little messed up. Jamal wasn't as mature at that time. Jalen Rose was on the back end, and, he was used to things being, because he just came from conference finals and championships with the Pacers.
Right.
Now you with this young team, like, really came. So the dynamic was off. And then Scott Skiles they fire Cartwright. Scott Skiles come in, point guard. Hey, no, we're not playing through the post. We either number 2 pick for a reason.
Right.
He started figuring it out. Got his game back. So then, like, if you would see, like, the last 25, 30 games, points went up, assists went up. It was his team. So he just started figuring out. And then I just felt like with Skiles, because I played for Skiles, because I got drafted there. Skiles loves his guards, and he was going to let him, be who he was. And I think he would have, he'd have been up there with the top grades. CP3 with a jumper coming out of college.
Right.
So obviously CP developed, but Jay was shooting it dead, from the get-go.
I remember that North Carolina game.
They both see the game, control it, handle, get to the rim, good vision. But he was able to shoot it from the get-go, and CP got better and better as he got older.
Okay. Now, the last question for you. I tell you all the time, I look at your courage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you really grasp the magnitude of you coming from a whole different region of the world to come in here, and your experience and how pleasant you made it. Like, when you walk in a room, we joke all the time about the first time we met.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's crazy. Going to see my son play football, and I see this kid walking by, and we didn't know each other. And we kind of just, for a moment, like, time paused, and we just looked at each other and from that moment, I had respect for you, because once I learned your story and how you came over and you had to make a life adjustment, not many people I can say did what you did. And, I tell you all the time, you haven't grasped that concept. Like, man, you're in a totally different environment, and you made family everywhere that you go. What value, what characteristic about you that you could just make people family? Because, I tell you all the time, like, if you need a big uncle or whatever you need, me and my family are here for you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, like, what tool do you use? Because this can help someone else.
Yeah.
What tool or what aspect or characteristic about you that you can just become family with anybody?
first of all, I don't know if it's anybody, but yeah.
For the right people.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just feel like, when you come to people with like no ulterior motive, like you
Right.
just
Genuine.
and you come as you are, basically. If somebody's on the same, type of, timing with you, it's kind of hard to not, kind of gravitate towards that person. And when I first got here, my first host family was a Nigerian man, Eddie. I was in maybe like 25, 30 minutes from school. It was a crazy situation, which is not his fault in any way. He had a lot going on. He had just got his own, because he was Nigerian, so he had just had his own brothers come in. So it was kind of a packed house. And, he still did his thing, did a lot for me, helped me as much as he could at that point. And, and having conversations with him, I'm seeing like, okay, this is this is somebody I can relate with. He's kind of in the same situation. And we became, family, like you said, just because of, we had shared experiences. I see what he's going through. He's seeing what I'm going through. And, we just kind of locked in from there. And it's the same with my family now. We met at church. So he knew my high school coach, and just both of us being Christians, and him, like, shout out to God, because that's definitely God. It's not easy to just see a random person and say, come live with me.
Right.
And, that's what he did. And like you said, I don't know if I had any, this is all God. It's not no special, I'm not giving myself credit for that at all.
Right. So,
but again, you still have to do your own part, which is making sure you have no ulterior motive, making sure you're being a good person, a nice person, a person that, wants to be family with them. Right. And so, that was my situation with that family, and we've been locked in ever since. And shout out to them, to the Dubliners. They've been my family here for the past 6 years now. They've definitely taken care of me. So, with my different situation that I've been in since I've been in America. And so, yeah, as far as what you got to do, you just got to, have no ulterior motive, man. Just, come, and when you meet somebody, you have to say, hey, this is and being honest, that's another thing. You have to be honest about, what you are. You can't come in here and, I come in every time they make fun of me. They're like, hey, he has his own money. But he knows. But, I talk, exactly. But I talk to, Mr. Rice every time. I explain to him, he kind of knows my, situation, and he knows when I'm being honest. And, when I need something, he's like, yeah, you good, man. I got you, And it has happened a lot very recently, and he knows what I'm talking about. But, just being honest about, where you at, what your situation is, and, move accordingly. So that definitely plays a role too. Just so you're not fronting for nobody when they see you. They see what it is. No corners, no hide-ins, no ifs, no buts. It's just you come as you are. So yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, that's a big one actually. Being honest about, whatever situation you're in or whatever you got going on, good or bad. Just so the person knows, okay, he's being honest with me. He wants to be, with me, or like family or whatever, whatever the case may be. Well, yeah, that is it. Yeah.
Now, if there's anything that you can tell a parent, what could you offer them? Like if their kid were to come to your program, like a kid coming to your program, what's the expectation for them to lead? That, beyond basketball, like what would you tell a parent that, that want to get involved with your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the first thing is that everything's going to be earned. Nothing's going to be given.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even though that, this is a Christian school and you pay tuition and things like that, like that doesn't automatically get you on the board or things like that. Second, be a parent, not a coach.
Right.
Thank you.
Be a parent.
Right.
Like it's your kid, and you raise them a certain way, and there's certain things, and as a fan, if you see something, but when it's my time, it's my time.
Right.
So I always have open practices. My practices are open.
Right.
So I tell every parent, like, you want to know why? such and such is not playing, you practice. Come there, sit there, and watch what I see every single day.
Right.
All right, you guys are sometimes us as kids don't tell the full
Real
story.
Right.
Right. You know, so
You don't know what
be a
happened at
parent,
practice.
be loving, be supportive. Like he's gonna do that. Like I'm gonna be tough on him because there's a standard that we're gonna have.
Right.
And we got to get to that. It's just not gonna happen. Me just walking in or we talk about it.
Right.
All right. You know, I got to be able to push you through, make sure that you can get yourself to different levels. Like you've been comfortable in this area. Like I got to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
So I'm going to make it uncomfortable. I'm going to make you have to compete. I'm going to make you challenge yourself. There's going to be certain standards that are held with that one, because again, what we were talking about earlier, you take that on for the rest of your life in anything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything that you do, there's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be something that's uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, in marriage and, you know, raising kids and your workplace, whatever it may be. Like for you to be really good at it, you got to get out of that comfort zone, right? Because you know, then you're not really being true. That, and then you know, we're going to be God based, right? We're Christian school, we're God based. You know, there are times where you know stuff might slip out that you know because I'm a little bit more frustrated, but you know, for me, that's why surrounding people that will be honest with you and that you have a support system, and that's what we're teaching them. We're going to be your support system.
Right.
Like we're not going to be done once you graduate. Like I'm not here because I know what the percentages are for kids that are going to be playing at the next level, and then that's even dropping now with this NIL and transfer portal, you know, transfer portal, that type of stuff. Like you know, it's really bad for high school kids now. But you know, and then you know, I kind of already had this approach, you know, but you know, Jay Bill has kind of reiterated. Like at the high school, like my job is for you to enjoy this experience. Where you come back, so man, I had a great time in high school. Even if you play 28 minutes or you play 2 minutes,
right?
Enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy having fun, enjoy being able to compete, enjoy learning about God, enjoy, you know, your teammates, who may be some of your best friends, like down the road, and
right.
Like enjoy the experience. Like you know, it's not my objective to come here to get a head coaching job at a college. Like,
right.
That's not my objective. Mine is to help develop young men. This is my way of helping to improve the game of basketball.
Right.
And through the process, teach and help grow young men into men.
Right.
You know, and obviously not, oh no, one of your parents are doing this, that's wrong, but through a different lens.
Right.
Right. Like this, through a different lens. Hey, if you want to play basketball, you know, you're going to have different coaches. You're going to be different pieces. You got to learn different cultures. That's why I'm blessed that, you know, we have kids from Africa. We have kids from Italy. So they get to learn different cultures and different people and,
right.
you know, try new things that they may not have not tried because they're in a comfortable world.
Right.
Right. You know, they
get more exposure.
Give them more exposure to that. So that's kind of, you know, my message to them. You know, I don't have an office, but my cell phone, everyone has, like, come to me.
Right.
Like, we could talk it out. Like, don't say stuff behind my back or alert. Let's have a conversation. I'll show you facts. I'll always listen to what you have to say.
Right.
And you may not agree with the outcome all the time, but, you know, I'll always respect what you have to say. I will, you know, let you talk, do what you have to do. I would say my piece. Usually I will come with like facts or stuff like that. And then we go our separate ways. Once we're done, we're done. Like,
right.
It should be over. We're on to the next thing. Just kind of teach my play. Next play. Right? Make a turnover. It's over with.
Right.
Don't come down. No, it's over. Got to get back on defense. What's the next assignment?
Yeah.
Same thing with them.
Right.
So.
Anything else you want to add, T?
Nah, I'm good.
And also,
Listen to it. I good, man. I was just enjoying the conversation. I learned a lot about you, God.
Yeah, well, I truly want to say I thank you guys for taking time out of your Sunday. Well, we ran over a little bit, but we were enjoying the conversation. But I definitely anything that like anything you want to promote as far as getting it out there about what I'm saying, that anything we can do to help better your coaching experience at Gaston Christian, let us know. Same for you. Anything that like if it's any avenue that I can help you in, let me know. And and that's our gratification for you guys, just taking time out to be part of our podcast. And we truly thank you.
No problem. Of course.
Appreciate it.
It's close.
Be safe. Mr. You.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah, of course.
Yes, to meet you, man.
And see, like,